and then we'll begin. All right, good morning, welcome. It's gonna be a beautiful day out there. So this is one of those days where it's a blessing to be able to get out of school by 1:30. You get to go out and enjoy that day, so that's awesome. People at home, you can do your clay project outside today. So that's something to celebrate for sure. So this is day 2 of ceramics B. Yesterday we had kind of a little bit of new notes, a little bit of probably review notes. Does anyone remember what is the name of the clay that we're using in this class? Or you say it? Look at this being like passed down the line. Who remembers the name of the clay we're using? Just shout it out. Starts with an S. It's little tiny rocks in it. Stoneware. Thank you. Yes. And stoneware, we bisque fire it at 1800 degrees or cone 06, and then we glaze fire it to a much hotter temperature. Does anyone remember that hotter temperature? Say it again. 2100. Yep. Or do you remember in ceramic terms what that would be called? Cone 6. Very good. Yep. So this kind of clay does fire to a much hotter temperature than the red earthenware that most of us used in ceramics A. And then we reviewed a couple of terms. The first firing is called what? Starts with a B. Bisque firing. Yep. And when the pots come out, they're called bisqueware. And the second firing is called what? Glaze firing. Yep. And when the pots come out, they're called glazeware. Exactly. In which of those 2 firings could something blow up? Say it again. The first one. Exactly. The bisque firing. Right. And what are the 2 things that could cause a pot to blow up in the kiln? Water and air. Which one is worse? Water. Absolutely. Very good. And then we talked about the 5 stages our clay goes through when the clay first comes out of that bag or that bin, and it's really soft and wet and workable, but kind of weak. What stage is that? Plastic. Then the clay dries out a little bit, but it's still workable. You can still join it. Magic stage. What stage is that? Leather heart. Then the clay totally dries out and it's really fragile and it's ready to be fired and you can't join things anymore. What stage is that? Bone dry. And then the pot gets fired the first time and it comes out, and what stage is that? Bisqueware, right? And then we glaze it, we put it in the second firing, it comes out, it's now food safe, and we call it what? Glazeware. Very good. Very good. So you're going to get a few extra additional notes today that I think are not review. These are new. So that's why you need your notebook. You're also going to be sketching for your first project today. So you need your notebook for that too. People at home, you also need your notebook. So make sure you have it handy and something to write with. All right, so just a little overview of what's happening today and really the next couple of days. I always like to give you a heads up of what's coming. Today, we're going to take some notes, sketch some ideas, and start the windchime project. I hope that this will be a project that'll take today and tomorrow, and then maybe that's it. It should be a really pretty quick project. Hopefully, we'll see. Thursday, we're going to crack open the fortune cookies and use them to make slip. I'm going to let them just dry out a little bit more because they're going to melt down better if they're bone dry. So they're just all chilling over there on the countertop drying off. And we don't need slip today anyway. We're not joining anything today. And then Friday are the MCAs and MCA tests. So some of you, and I honestly don't know what grades are taking the MCAs this Friday? It's just people in biology? This Friday's next. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's next Friday. This Friday, I think, is maybe like math and English. Yeah. Right? Okay. It's 10th and 11th. Okay. So how many people are 10th and 11th graders in here? I kind of figured it might be a solid chunk. It's at least half of you. So I have to decide what to do on Friday. Well, there won't be a Google Meet for sure. Like normally there would be a Google Meet on Friday, but this Friday I have to help proctor or give the test, the MCA test. So I have to be here and I'm going to be doing that. So I can't run a Google Meet. So there definitely will not be a Google Meet on Friday. But what there probably will be, for the people who are home, for the people who are not MCA testing, there will probably be an attendance question and maybe some sort of little online assignment. There won't be a clay assignment because you guys won't have clay at home. People at home, you will have clay at home, but I'm not going to give you an assignment that I can't give these guys. So it's up in the air what's going to happen on Friday yet. I'll keep you posted tomorrow. I'll make a decision and I'll let you know tomorrow. So that's kind of the big picture for the rest of the week. Normally on a Flex Friday, we would have a Google Meet and we would definitely all have an assignment. All right, so please turn to the next clean page in your notebook and jot down these 4 new terms. I should take attendance. That would be smart. Okay, Meredith, Reese, Rena, Leah, Judah, AJ, Hassan, JJ, Lonnie, James, Kip, Peter, Lee, Thomas, Sarah. Is it Soraya? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Tagazi? Yeah. Okay. I'm writing you in there, Soraya, so that's your assigned seat now. Okay. Chase, Katie, Ava, Shia, Jackson. Yep. So keep writing. I'm just going to start chatting about these things so we can move on. Term number 1 is iconography. It's from the Greek word meaning, or the Greek word icon, which means image. You can recognize that word being used in a lot of our culture, the word icon. But here, iconography is a range of images used by an artist to convey particular personal meanings. So iconography exists in all different forms of art. In my particular artwork that I make pottery that has a lot of slots on it, a lot of squirrels on them, a lot of bunnies on them, and each one of those animals represents a different thing to me. Represents calmness, that's what the slots represent, the squirrels represent toughness and tenacity, and the bunnies represent hard work. So, so that's my iconography on my particular pots. And you're going to start thinking about what's your personal iconography today, because the wind chime that you make is going to be consisting of little tiles that are symbols of you, in some way representing you. Term number 2 is wind chime. I know we all know what a wind chime is, but the technical definition, it's a percussion instrument, which surprised me, but it shouldn't have surprised me because a percussion instrument is one where something strikes something else to make a sound. And that's what happens with a wind chime. It's suspended objects that create musical tones when they bump against each other in the wind. So that's what we're gonna make. A relief tile is a shallow type of sculpture. Shallow means it doesn't pop out very much. and it's carved into a flat surface to give that flat surface depth and dimension. So each one of the little tiles that you're going to make to put in your wind chime, to hang in your wind chime, they're going to be tiny little relief tiles. You're going to carve them so that they become a little bit more three-dimensional. And then term number 4 is refine. You're going to hear me use that a lot in Ceramics B because you're now second level artists. I expect your work to be really refined, which means that you really spend a lot of time making it neat, making it smooth, doing your best possible work. Everybody works at a different level, so I don't expect everybody to produce like museum quality work. But what I do expect is that everybody does their best possible work. You're not just slapping something really quick and turning it in and just to be done quick. So we're going to spend a lot of time refining our work, making it look really smooth, really good, really neat, to the best of our ability, as much as humanly possible. My philosophy of it is if something is worth doing, it's worth doing well. So refining the work is something we'll talk a lot about. So today, we will be starting the relief tiles, the little tiles. You're going to decide what your icons are, what are the symbols you're going to put in your wind chime. And we're going to start making them today, but we won't really do any refining today because the clay is going to be really wet. It's going to be in that plastic stage. And we really need to get it into the leather hard stage to be able to get it to be able to be really neatly carved and smooth and refined. So today is about making, tomorrow's about refining. And same for you people at home too. You're going to do these same steps that we're doing here in class. I'll give you another minute or so to finish writing. So I'm going to show you in a moment some of the iconography that I might use if I'm going to make my wind chime, and I'll start a wind chime today. You'll get to decide and start sketching ideas for what are your personal iconography, what is your symbols, your designs that are meaningful to you or your family. Maybe you want to do something that's more for your whole family, so you can hang it up outside on your front porch. And so I'll kind of model that, like how I would decide what kind of designs work well for this project. All right, I'm going to move to the next slide. So when I thought about this last night, these were the designs that I thought would be representing me, I guess, as who I am. So one is a puppy, because we just got a puppy. I'm Irish, that's part of my heritage, so the swirly Celtic design is Irish. But my astrological sign is Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius. I like to go hiking with my family. I like to make pots. I play Pokemon Go. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but this is something I do when I need to like de-stress. I live in Minnesota. I'm also German. Family is really important to me. And the fingerprint represents my mom, who actually just passed this past January. And I have a necklace right here that has her fingerprint on it. So that's really special to me. It makes me think of my mom. So these are things that represent me. Not all of these will make great tiles, great relief tiles. Some of these might be too easy. Some of them might be too challenging. So I kind of narrowed down the ones that were most meaningful, but also ones that I thought I could actually like create reasonably. And so I went with the 5 ideas that I liked the best. Were a puppy, the pottery, Minnesota, family, and then the fingerprint. And so now I have a decision to make. You have to make 5 tiles for this assignment. That's the minimum. You can make more if you want, but 5 is the minimum. Odd numbers are always better in artwork, just FYI. So we always go for odd numbers if we can. And so I can decide if I want to use all 5 of these that I circled and have a different design on each tile, or if I really want to, hey, if I really just want to do one of these, thank you so much, I could just do 5 puppy tiles, and it would still be about me because it's representing that puppy that we just got in my family. Or I could just do 5 Minnesota tiles, or I could do 5 pottery tiles. I would do each one differently, maybe put different designs on each pot, or put the puppy in different positions. And actually, that's the one that I'm going to do for you guys today. This is my sketch of my puppy in 5 different little positions that she likes to sit or lay in. So I'm going to go with the puppy in 5 different versions of the puppy. But it's up to you. If you want to do 5 of your different designs, or if you just want to do one design 5 times, that's fine. It's really kind of up to you how you want to approach that. So what we're going for here, once these are fired and glazed, we will be hanging them. So this can actually be a functional wind chime. So there's different ways you can hang them. I'll talk about that when we get to that point. Not everybody has to do this. If you are not interested in firing this piece and you don't want to go through the process of hanging it, you just have to make the tiles as though you were going to hang them. So they do need little holes in them, and they do need a design on both sides. So when it hangs in the breeze, we would see both sides. But it's nothing that we do here is mandatory for you to fire. So just keep that in mind. But you will have to make it as though it's going to hang, as though it's going to be fired, and then this is maybe what it might look like, something similar to that. Now, just to clarify the relief tile thing, you will need to do some carving on these tiles. Nothing is just going to be a flat cookie, okay? So there does have to be some sort of designing, some sort of decoration on both sides, again, because it's going to hang. So this would be an example of a really low relief. They just carved lines and textures into it. And so that's fine. It gives some definition to the different features of the fish. This would be an example of a more three-dimensional relief where the fins poke out, the lips poke out, the eyes poke out. So there was a lot more carving in that case. Both of these, by the way, we're not going to make things that are block shaped or square shaped. We're going to actually cut out the shape of the object. So that'll be different. But you can decide how much depth and dimension you want in your carving, or if you want to leave it more, a little bit more shallow, that's fine too. I'm just pointing out that you will need some sort of carving texture, and most of that is going to come tomorrow when the clay is more leather hard. So here are today's tasks, and this is what I'm going to demo in the demo today. So first, and people who are here and at home, you can start this now. Sketch out 10 different ideas, just like you saw me do on the screen, except those weren't sketched. 10 different ideas that could be symbols for you or your family, okay? So you're gonna do that, and then when you have 10 ideas sketched out, you're gonna circle the top 5. The 5 that you think are most powerful, the most interesting to you, the most representative of you, and also taking into account the fact that you're gonna have to make these out of clay, right? So maybe nothing too elaborate in shape. So circle your top 5, and then you're going to be ready to start actually making your slab with clay and flattening it out, making your tiles. So you're going to take a softball of clay. People who are at home, just take a softball of clay, and any extra that you have at the end of the day gets wedged and put back in your bag. People who are here, you're going to grab a softball of clay from one of the bags of clay. Remember, we were really low on clay yesterday. The clay in the mixer today is way too wet. So I bought some bags of clay last night. You're going to get your softball of clay from there. You can take it back to your table, wedge it there. And then you're going to roll it or do the throwing technique to flatten it out till it's about the thickness of cardboard. And we want this to be pretty consistent. Yesterday with the cookies, we didn't care so much about consistency. Today we do. Today consistency is important because your tiles should be the same thickness side to side. So we'll talk a little bit about that in the demo. Then you're going to cut out your 5 shapes from the clay, the 5 shapes that you're most interested in having. And again, you can do more shapes if you want, that's fine, just 5 is the minimum. And you're going to smooth all the edges, front and back, and then you're going to use a hairdryer. Hairdryers are back there. Use the fan is over there. Or people who are at home, if you don't have a fan or a hairdryer, you could put your tiles out in the sun for like 20 minutes, and that would help. We're going to try to get them leather hard, so they're a little easier to start cooking. Then we're going to start using a sort of sharp tool to do some carving, to get those interior designs, because remember, there do need to be carved areas, inside designs, front and back. And we're going to try and get as far as maybe getting those designs on the front and back today. Refining will probably take a back seat. We'll do that tomorrow. You're going to photograph your sketches and your tiles in the same picture, one picture with tiles and sketches in the same shot, and that's due today by 3 p.m. Okay, so I'm going to leave this up on the screen, and I'm going to call you guys over to this table here. I'm going to demo that process. I'm going to bring my computer over so the people at home can see. And let's see. Eva, would you turn on the lights, please? All right, so I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna grab a softball of clay. So it doesn't have to be super duper precise, but you know, approximately the size of a softball. Folks who are over there at that table, how about if you guys come walk over here so you can see a little bit better? And I'm gonna pin myself and put that down. Can you see with my computer right there? Okay. Yeah, you might need to shift over just a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna wedge this a little bit. Folks who are over here, come on over here. I wanna do this quickly and I want you guys to see well. All right, so you remember from yesterday, one way to make a slab of clay, start by pre-flattening it on your cloth, throw it diagonally. That's one option. People at home, I've given you a rolling pin. It's just a dowel, and you can use that to roll your slab of clay. People who are here in person, there are rolling pins here, and there's a few on top here. You just want to be careful that they don't have red clay on them. So choose one that's clean. So if you're using a dowel or a rolling pin, you're going to roll a little bit, and then you're going to flip the slab. And then you're going to roll a little bit, and you're going to flip the slab. And you're really going to try and make it as consistent as possible. And what thickness did I say to make it to? Yeah, about the thickness of a piece of cardboard. We want these tiles to be nice and light because they'll actually make a better sound once they're fired and glazed as they're hanging in the breeze if they're thin. So we want to work a little bit thin. All right, so that's a pretty good consistent thickness right there. So now people at home, you have toothpicks. People who are here, you have needle tools. When you put these needle tools back, by the way, make sure you're putting them in the box behind. Some people were putting the needles back like dirty, first of all, but they were putting them back needle up, which makes it kind of dangerous as you're reaching in there to grab a needle tool. Like you could get stabbed by that one that's facing up. So make sure you put them in the box behind if you're returning them, please. All right, so these are my sketches, my puppy sketches. And so what I'm gonna attempt to do, what I could do, actually, like all of you folks who are at home or here, I cheated yesterday. I went online and looked for images. And so if you wanna go look online for images for this, you could do that too. And one way that you can transfer that image from the screen onto your clay is if you rip out a sheet of paper, get that image the size you want on the screen, you can actually hold a piece of notebook paper gently up to your Chromebook and trace it onto the paper. Like you use it like a light box, basically. And then you could cut out that shape and use it to cut out and be accurate with your clay. Does that make sense? How you can trace from the screen onto your clay? Okay. So that's one thing you can do, especially if you have a really complex design. I might try that with one of my puppies here, just so you can see the process. I mean, I drew this puppy, but if you wanted to trace it from the screen, you could do that. And so one way that I can trace this and even get the interior designs is if I lay that on top of my paper, or sorry, on top of my clay, and use my toothpick or my needle tool and poke a bunch of little holes all the way around. Sorry that people who are far away that you aren't able to see this. Maybe stand up if you can't see this right now, because it's kind of like fine tuning, really fine detail work. I want you to be able to see it. So I'm just poking little holes to trace my design onto the clay. And I could freehand cut it too, but this is just a technique. So now, you can't really see that, but now I'm just gonna connect the dots, and I'm gonna cut out my little puppy shape. Now, because my clay is so plastic right now, it's not gonna hold its shape super well. So I have to trust that it might look a little bit like a hot mess at the moment, like especially some of these edges are not very crisp and clean. So there's puppy number one. And on this side, you can see the little dots, or maybe you can see the dots that are gonna be the interior lines that eventually when this clay is more firm, I'll come back and I'll carve and I'll draw those in. Step number, what does it say? Step number 3 says for you to pinch the edges. This takes some of the slab out of your tile. So I'm just gently, I want the people at home to be able to see this. I'm just pinching this edge all the way around, and it's taking some of that hard sharpness out of the edge of my tile, because I don't really want these to look like I cut them out of a slab. I would much rather have them look like tiny little, relief sculptures. So I'm trying to take that hard edge out of it right away. And then this would need to get leather hard. Look how floppy it is. It's too plastic. So I put trays on every single table. There should be one for each of you. So as you cut out each tile, put it on the tray. People at home, you have one of these trays in your bag as well. Cut out all 5 tiles, pinch the edges, put them on the tray, and we'll see how far we get at that point. If that takes you all hour, that's fine. That takes you all hour. If you get this far and you still have more time, put them in front of the fan, hair dry them, whatever it takes. And then you can take the needle tool and start drawing in those interior lines. And remember, not only are you doing that on the front, you're also going to have to do those same designs on the back. So don't forget about that. We'll cut holes, we'll do carving, all of that stuff tomorrow. Okay, today should be just kind of laying out the main areas of each tile. Then when you're done, please remember, set that aside, please remember to take a photo of your 5 tiles with your 10 sketches, 5 of which you have circled. That's where your points come from today, okay? People who are in person, do you have any questions before I let you get to work? Okay, remember the first thing is sketching 10 ideas and circling your top 5. People who are online, stay online. I'm going to touch base with you next. All right, I'm going to stop recording.